Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com. Purple Daily, presented by Surly Brewing Company.
You like that? You like that?
Football. Yeah. All right, we got the Wild making moves, landing a goaltender with Stanley Cup credibility, Marc-Andre Fleury. You got the Timberwolves racing up the Western Conference standings. The Twins signing one of the best players in baseball, Carlos Correa, and the Vikings mostly running it back to this point.
You like that? You like that?
We'll see how that works out.
Those crickets? I think
Not
I hear
a lot
crickets.
happening so far.
Egan.
For the
Hello,
Minnesota
Egan.
Vikings.
Crazy,
This
are you
is
there?
Purple Daily. We want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We're not sure if running it back with a team that's been 500 or below for 800 days now is the right way to go about it, but we've got some conversation around that here. This show is presented by our friends at Surly Brewing Company and TCL, one of the world's best-selling consumer electronics brands. They have a new lineup of award-winning TVs delivering the most entertainment with stunning resolution, all at an affordable cost. Enjoy more of the things you love with TCL. So, I feel like we've gone through multiple phases of it's like this weird roller coaster of emotions this offseason, right? It was, I think, the joy that people, not to tap dance on the careers of Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman, but like the joy and the elation of, oh my gosh, the Vikings understand that major changes are needed and they make the major changes. And then, okay, now what's next? Are they going to make a big move at quarterback? And I feel like half the fans were looking forward to that. The other half thinks that Kirk is the thing that's keeping this all afloat. So there's the whole Kirk Cousins thing. But the only major moves they've made so far are bringing in Harrison Phillips to replace Michael Pierce, which probably a wash. I mean, Harrison Phillips looks like a good player, but Michael Pierce was too.
Yep.
And then they brought in Jordan Hicks to play linebacker to essentially replace Anthony Barr, which I think is probably an upgrade, but not like a franchise-changing, needle-moving upgrade. So as of right now, they are looking at a team that's been at or below 500 for 800-plus days, and they are saying coaching and culture are the things that are going to put this team over the top. And maybe there's some moves to be made. But where do you guys stand right now, thinking on this for the weekend? I know, Judd, you've been kind of banging your head against a wall. I have a plan for them to proceed going forward that I want to present to you. But first, I'd just love your thoughts now that you've had sort of a weekend to marinate more on this. The Danielle Hunter thing is still, he's probably going to play for the Vikings, but we did an episode on that, right? We don't know what's going to happen there. What do you think?
I think I have no idea. No clue. Well, I know what they're thinking and trying to do, but I have no clue why they think it's going to work. And I guess I have one new thought. So like off this whole thing, and I literally don't get it. So to be clear, this is not a joke. It's not a bit. I don't get it. My new thought is this, and it's a question I'd like to ask them all. I'd like to sit them down in a room and ask them this question. Are you setting Kevin OConnell up to succeed? Because this is a young man, a young coach, first job. I think he's very smart. Strikes me as very bright, gregarious, the anti-Zim, okay? But clearly the mandate is to run things back and try and say it was all Mike's fault, which I think puts KOC in a really, really sticky spot. So I guess my thought is this, because it feels like this has all come back so far to Kwesi, which I totally get. I mean, he's GM. He takes some blame. Just to be clear, I don't think he takes all the blame. He's definitely been given some mandates that they Wilfs want executed. I understand that. But my new thought is this. Are you putting a young coach who hopefully has a long tenure here and is very successful in the ultimate situation to succeed? Because failure in 22 with this plan is far from ideal for a lot of people. But for Kevin, I think it's a big problem because, in my opinion, a coach like him who comes into a team like this wants to put his stamp on that team. And I say that in a good way. He should. I don't know how you put your stamp on a team when one foot is in the old is on the old side of the fence and one foot is on the new side, and there's this weird mandate of, well, it was all your predecessor's fault. So I've really grown to almost feel empathy for KOC because I don't think that they are putting him in a position that is fair for a guy who deserves everything he can possibly get to get off on the right foot.
I think it's unfair that they're just assuming that the culture and everything else can just be fixed by plugging in new coaches and coordinators and then assuming you can make a big jump. To Judd's point of, are they putting him in a position to succeed? They're putting all their hope in him. So like I think that's a big burden, and especially for like a first-year head coach. If it was like a veteran coach that's been around the block a few times, even like a Harbaugh or someone else, I could kind of understand that thought process of let's run it back and we have trust in you, you're going to do it. But Kevin OConnell, even though he says all the right things and I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, hasn't done this before. And that's a big burden to ask a young head coach to step in here and essentially just run it back for a team that's been middling with being under 500 for 2 years.
Yep. And Judd, you used the word sort of like put him in. You said, are they putting him in the right position to succeed or in a fair position to succeed? And I wonder what the ownership's definition of success is, because they talked a big game about championships and Super Bowls when they fired Mike Zimmer and Rick Spielman, that this is enough. We are done with the mediocrity. And yet, based on the offseason so far, I would think that the bar is still the same as it was, which is like 8, 9, 10 wins. I mean, how are they better? And again, I have a plan to make them better that I want to run by you guys here in a second. But
sure,
how are they better so far right now, this offseason, than they were at the end of the year or in the middle of the year or going into the year last year, aside from cutting the cancer out that is Mike Zimmer and replacing him with a coach that we're all hopeful that, you know, he's got a lot of potential. But to Declan's point, like, he's never done this before. He's not even 40 years old yet. There's probably going to be some things that he misses, blind spots in his first year as he becomes an NFL head coach, right? I mean, to this point, just kind of going through here, you know, they've lost a starting safety. To this point, they've lost 2 of their 3 starting cornerbacks, including Xavier Woods, safety, Mackenzie Alexander, and Patrick Peterson. They replaced Michael Pierce with Harrison Phillips. They replaced Anthony Barr with Jordan Hicks. So they're still down a bunch of pieces on an already bad defense, right?
Yep.
On offense, they still don't have a quality starting center or a quality right guard. And as of right now, they have $2.4 million in cap space. Now, this does not include Adam Thielen's restructure, which should get them to like $7.5 million in cap space, enough to sign your draft picks. So so Thielen's restructure gives them enough money to sign their draft picks. Beyond that, they could roll Danielle Hunter's roster bonus into a signing bonus, which could net them $13.5 million in savings. That'll get you JC Tretter if he's interested. So there's still some things that could be done here.
Yeah.
But like right now, they are not as good as they were at the end of last season. Right now, Chris Boyd is a starting cornerback for this team. Right? Am I wrong about this?
No, and it's frightening. No. And I just don't know. I would love to genuinely ask them the question about what are you doing? Like without being a smartass, without trying, I would like to know, what are you doing? Like what path are you taking? Do you just think that Mike was such a bad coach, who, by the way, you employed, I believe, for 8 or 9 seasons. Do you think he became such a bad coach that the entire roster of guys coming back was good and that Mike sabotaged it entirely? Now, I had problems with Mike too, so I am not trying to absolve Mike. Here's what I think is the problem too. So it's like the more I think about this, like, because it's not logical. Like, it literally is not logical. Common sense is lacking here. I think part of the problem is this. I think part of what has transpired in the last year plus is the Wolves have gotten involved in more endeavors, including the MLS team in Florida, right? And I know for a fact that there was a lot of emphasis from their side put on that team last year. And so it's clear that part of the reason, certainly why they lost track of Zim and Spielman weren't talking, was because they weren't paying attention. So it's sort of, it feels like they came back and were like, oh, holy cow. Oh, man, it was bad here. And then they started to talk to it almost, I get the feeling, total hypothesis, speculation here, that they started to talk to people from the business end about what did you see? Because I really think they're getting bad advice. Like, I think that they're being told the players were fine. The players were great. It's all Mike's fault. And it was Rick's fault, too. But if you think that, you don't know football.
But if it's Rick's fault, then why is the roster fine?
I don't know.
Right?
Phil, I'm a broken record at this point, but I'm literally trying to wrap my head around what they are thinking, seeing, and doing. And the only thing I can think is they lost track so badly of this team that they're now getting input from people who are giving their 2 cents. But the other thing is they are also running back players who, if they were the best human beings on the face of the earth, are aging.
Yeah, they're like a lot of these dudes are over 30. Yeah.
And football, there's like no fixing that.
Yeah. Another thing, too, here to consider is that a year and a half ago, this organization deemed Mike Zimmer such a good coach that they gave him a 3-year contract extension coming off a playoff victory on the road against the Saints, right? That he is such a good coach that we're not going to let him go into a lame duck season. We're gonna lock this, and it's not going to be a 1-year extension. We're going to lock this guy up for 3 seasons, and then if we have to move on, I guess we'll just bite the bullet and pay him. And a year and a half later, he was from the point where you signed him to a 3-year extension to now, he was such a cancer that if you just remove him and extract him from the situation and put someone else in, then boom, it's like 3 or 4 automatic victories. Another thing I would point out here after the weekend of Deshaun Watson getting traded to Cleveland and then having his contract reshuffled, restructured, extended. So even after the Kirk Cousins extension that freed up cap space for the Vikings in 2022, he still has the 4th highest cap hit of any player in the NFL right now. And that ranking is likely to even go up if Matt Ryan gets traded. His cap number is going to come down with whoever he goes to. Patrick Mahomes is above him and Ryan Tannehill. I wouldn't be shocked if those guys also get restructured to free up some space. So I just want to throw this out there. There is a really good chance, not a really good chance, there's a chance that Kirk Cousins, when the season starts, will have the highest cap hit of any player in the NFL, despite the restructure. Because guess what? Other teams also get to restructure contracts and shuffle money around. And some of them, like Pat Mahomes, are just longer term, more flexible contracts. Now, whether he's the 4th highest or the highest, does his contract prevent the Vikings from fielding a competitive team? Of course not. They're still going to be competitive. Even if they don't do anything from this point forward, I still think they're going to compete for 7, 8, 9 wins or whatever it is. But does that contract make fielding a Super Bowl caliber team difficult, if not impossible? Yes, and that's been the point for basically 3 years around here. And they're walking right into the same thing, which is, no. We can do this. Let's have him take up a huge disproportionate chunk of the salary cap compared to where he actually ranks impact on games as a quarterback. And let's leave thin margins for error in free agency and draft, and then blame everything else around him when things don't work out the way that you want. That's what's frustrating.
I am so confused beyond him now that I don't know. I've lost track of where to start.
By the way,
They
also lost Conklin and Sheldon Richardson, who I forgot to mention previously.
Yeah.
But those guys are replaceable. By who? With what?
Well,
5th round pick?
I just don't understand anything right now. Like, there's almost nothing I get. The Hunter thing is a key example. So you're going to pay him the roster bonus and not smooth that out, which is a move to eventually probably move him, but it's going to stop you from trying to win when you are making moves elsewhere that are specifically done to try and win immediately. Like, literally, I have no idea what they are doing. And we can speculate and talk about it. And yes, the Cousins thing is a talker as well. But there was a time when the Cousins thing I thought was like the talker, and that was it. And if we could talk about Kirk, that was great. Now, Phil, I am at a place where I have no clue. And just to put it on the record once again, I am not blaming just O'Connell and Kwesi at all. So, like, this is not they're screwing up their bed. No, they're involved, but this goes so much above them right now. And this comes back, Phil, to what I told you when this entire thing started, is that we had been told specifically that there are very much non-football people who have now put their hand in the cookie jar. And this, to me, reeks of that.
Yeah, to me, the Wilfs are sort of cowards, like football cowards.
They've never done this before, though. That's what I don't get. They've never, like,
they've clung to mediocrity for years.
No, but they have never, as far as I can tell, infiltrated the football decisions like they are right now. There's no way that you can tell me that they are not very much involved. And it's like they're trying to make up for ignoring the team last year, but it's like they're trying to do it by coming in late and not really understanding what all of the ills that ailed this team last year were.
Yeah. Well, good news, because old Macadac is going to come to the rescue with a four-part plan to fix this thing going forward. All right, so what's done is done. We already know what they've done so far this offseason. Now, obviously, we don't agree with some of the things that have happened so far, but I still think Kwesi is a smart dude who sees the big picture. Maybe he has to sort of fight against the owners wanting to stay relevant, and like if you could make some changes, but not really change a lot, because we don't want to fall to the bottom of a division here. So, what other moves can be made going forward? And these moves are presented by our friends at Surly Brewing Company, the official beer of Purple Daily and striving for Super Bowls.
Exactly right. And you know what, too? So the Twins are in agreement with Correa. The Wild just made a deadline deal for the flower. And I'm going to tell you right now, all of those things, as confused as I am by what the Vikings are or are not doing, all of those things, though, need to be celebrated. The good things, right? And they need to be celebrated with the Surly Brewing product. And look, there's a lot of great ones, but I don't think there's anything like picking up a pint of the Furious, Declan Goff, and pouring that pint just nice and slow and getting that good pour and saying, cheers to Correa, cheers to Fleury, and cheers to a Minnesota sports landscape that I don't recognize these days. And Surly is the way to celebrate that stuff.
And by the way, I tried a new Surly beer over the weekend, Drips and Draps, a hazy IPA.
Good stuff?
Good stuff.
I haven't tried it yet.
Go try it. Drips and Draps. Hazy IPA.
I like it.
What's one word to describe how Chill Boys are making you feel? The most comfortable underwear we've ever put on, boys.
Elite for me. Elite. Thank you, PJ Fleck.
Comfortable. I'm always comfortable in my Chill Boys. Performance or bamboo, doesn't matter. I'm always comfortable in my Chill Boys.
Yeah. I'm going to say soft. Soft.
Oh.
Just feeling real comfortable today.
Don't elaborate too much on that.
It's a Minnesota-based company. You can find them online at chillboys.com. Make sure you tell them that Purple Daily and or Score North sent you. So here's the first thing I would do at this point. Last week I said I would trade Danielle Hunter, collect, I don't know, a first if possible, maybe a second and a third or something, and then I would use that money on Zadarius Smith. I've changed course on that because now the Cowboys are interested in Zadarius Smith, according to reports. Like if there's three other teams that are bidding, like it's just you got to control what you can control here, and you have a better chance to get Danielle Hunter on your team, keep him on your team. You might try to hold out this offseason. Like you have to figure this out, but he has to report to collect that bonus. What I would do, and this is where I don't know what the language of the contract says, I would convert the roster bonus to a signing bonus so that you can spread it out over the remaining 4 years of that contract, including the 2 void years. So then I get $13.5 million in salary cap relief this season, which combined with Adam Thielen's restructure and the $2.4 million that the Vikings already have gives you $21 million in clearance below the cap. Now you got to spend some of that on your rookies and your draft picks. And again, Danielle might just throw a tantrum and want a new contract regardless, but I would rather just deal with that. Hey dude, here's $18 million in your pocket. Come on, let's just play football this season and let's figure this thing out after the season, right? So that's the first move I would make is just make sure that you have an elite edge rusher if your goal is to win in 2022. Don't trade him now that all this stuff is broke over the weekend. Just keep him on board and see what happens. All right, that's step one.
All right, and I do believe if you check it out on Over the Cap, I think if you were to trade him right now, it would be a big hit. So I think that they won't. But yeah, so on step one, why wouldn't you convert that though? Like that's what I don't get. I get that there are financial implications and stuff. But if he plays, he's an elite player, and it frees you up to potentially make more moves.
Yeah.
Right now. So what, I guess my question is this, if you're trying to win right now, which clearly the mandate is to do, why wouldn't you take advantage of the opportunity to create more cap room immediately?
Because it muddies up your cap for future seasons in which you're not guaranteed to have him on your team. And I get that you've already done that. And this is where I'm at. Right. I'm with you. Listen,
exactly.
you've already gone this far. Just keep going. Keep going at this point.
Correct.
Like you've kind of reached the point of no return for me for 2022. Like I'm no longer trying to ride the median and the fence here. You are committed to trying to win big in 2022. So restructure that bad boy from a roster bonus to a signing bonus. Leave a voicemail, which is what you contractually need to do to make it happen.
You can't text him
and save. I think you might be able to text him. But I think it's got to be some sort of
What if
message
you violated
to him.
that? What if you violated that rule?
Text.
I'm a free agent.
I sent it. It doesn't say
I'm
delivered.
a free agent.
So that's the first step.
All right.
Step two is, now that I've got $21 million in cap space, and let's call it more like 13 to 15 million because of draft picks. I'm going to spend $8 to $10 million a year on a 2 or 3 year contract, and I'm going to sign proven franchise center JC Tretter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm totally in with this.
One of the biggest positional upgrades you can make is going from Garrett Bradbury to JC Tretter. And one of the best things you can do for Kirk Cousins and for Kevin OConnell is to get those guys a real, actual quality top 5 starting center. He's 31 or 32 years old, so age is a little bit problematic. But
you're trying to win now, though.
Really high level. Yep.
You're trying to win now. No, I'm with you, Phil. This is, you are too in to get out. Mm-hmm. So like, oh, we can't spend that money, or that guy's. I mean, you are bringing back guys in their 30s. Yes, I love that. And I can only hope that KOC was being kind and a nice guy when at the Combine, he went out of his way to say how great he thought Garrett Bradbury was.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
hopefully.
This offseason, to me, only makes sense if you sign JC Tretter. Because if you decide, okay, we're going to keep pushing forward here, kind of. We're going to push forward thinking that, and the hubris it would take as well to say, we can fix Garrett Bradbury and whatever the hodgepodge is at right guard right now. Right. And we can fix the defense and do all of this with basically like your first and second round draft picks and limited free agent money. The hubris, right? So if they don't sign JC Tretter, I will go even further saying this offseason makes no sense. If they do sign him, I will say, I don't know if you can win a Super Bowl, but at least it's starting to make a little bit more sense what the ultimate plan was here.
All right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
So again, like we've got Danielle Hunter on board. We've got JC Tretter on board, but still need 2 starting cornerbacks, a slot and another outside guy, and probably need another edge rusher opposite Danielle Hunter. Not just like a plug-and-play guy, but an actual impact edge rusher and again, it's a 3-4 defense, but you're going to play some 4-3 concepts as well in nickel. So you need
a lot of
edge
different,
rusher.
a lot of different things.
And a lot of football terms being thrown.
Play that, yeah. Love it.
So, and you need a starting right guard. So, like, you still need a lot of pieces here, and you've taken up a chunk of you can probably find like a nickel corner for limited money after you sign JC Tretter. So there's probably a bargain bin guy in there somewhere. Maybe you bring back Pat Peterson. But the third item in my 4-item checklist is I'm going to draft now with my first and second round picks the best available edge rusher and cornerback in whatever order. My first and second round picks are going to edge rusher and cornerback, and I am crossing my fingers that those guys are starters in week 1.
No.
No, he's right. I hate everything I'm hearing in some ways. I just don't.
You have to nail those
I know.
pictures.
No. I just said you're right. Yes, you have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, right now as things stand, I guarantee you're right. You have to.
The other way to do it would be, and I'd have to go look at who's left at cornerback in free agency. Could you spend, $6 to $10 million on a starting cornerback in free agency that you feel comfortable with, and then maybe you draft the Iowa center, right, with the number 12 overall pick. But in some combination, you got to fix one of your offensive line weaknesses has to be fixed, either in free agency with limited money or the draft, and cornerback again, and edge rusher.
Right now, you are saying that Wyatt Davis will be fine at right guard,
and that brings me to my fourth bullet point here, which is
give up, just quit,
fold
the franchise.
Look at your internal options at right guard and pray.
Yeah,
Wyatt Davis probably leading that pack. So that's what I would do. And if they wind up doing these things, if Danielle Hunter comes back and they move that money around, converting roster to signing bonus, and they bring JC Tretter on board, and they draft a stud edge rusher in the first round and a quality cornerback in the second round, and Wyatt Davis emerges from the witness protection program. Okay. Now you have now your offensive minded coach is bringing the 14th scoring offense up into the top 10. Now you're competing for 9-10, depending on the schedule, how it plays out, maybe 11 wins. Oh, Judd looks like he's about to jump off
Judd's
the IDS
defeated.
tower right now.
Yeah, Judd's defeated right now.
You're hoping for miracles. Like, you're hoping for miracles everywhere. We talked about this, okay? I could have seen picking a path where Kirk does not come back and is traded. I could have seen bringing back Kirk and saying, but we can't bring back everybody else then. So, like, some guys are... They've painted themselves into such a potential corner here that, Phil, your 4 points are great, but it's so much hope. And the Tretter thing...
Thank you,
and the Tretter thing, I have no faith in. Like, I agree. I would call him up and say, what's it going to take? But this team seems like it's drawn a line in the sand at Hunter's contract. And it's like, now we are not going to be pushing void years. You just did it with Thielen, I believe Smith, correct? Cousins. And now you're just going to magically draw the line. Well, this is where we end. I'm sorry. I'm just so perplexed, so confused. Ordinarily, at least I can rip a team because I understand what they're doing and just think it's screwed up. In this case, I don't even know.
The Vikings right now, too, for 2023, have the 8th worst cap situation before they restructured Danielle Hunter and jam that money.
And you know what
into
else bugs me?
Seasons.
So here's what else depresses me about this entire thing, too. Look at what the Bears are doing. And I think the Bears might suck, okay? So just to be very clear, but the Bears are doing what I wanted, which is they are creating massive cap space.
Do you think here's my best guess as to what the Vikings are doing? Because you're right, the Bears are doing it now. They're saying, all right, second-year quarterback.
We'll find out.
Khalil Mack, see ya. Let's grow from the ground up here with our second-year quarterback, and they're doing it now. The Vikings don't have a rookie. The Vikings have Kirk Cousins. So are they saying, with assurances from the Wilfs, are they saying, let's just see 1 or 2 seasons, let's ride out Kirk's prime. Let's just see what happens. Justin Jefferson rookie scale contract, and if you look beyond 2023, I mean they're in pretty good shape. 2024. I mean, I'm looking at over the cap right now. You know, they're kind of mid pack right now for 2024 obligations,
right? And
they're not really that committed to Harrison Smith, Adam Thielen, Danielle Hunter. Like, there's some dead cap if you look, but. They're in a pretty good space for 2024 if they draft a quarterback in 2023 maybe. Are they just saying, hey, take a 2-year run. If it doesn't work, you're not going to get fired. Then we'll start the rebuild. But we're not going to start it right now because we feel like better coaching, better culture can elevate this thing, even if they're wrong about it. Is that the assurance that Kwesi was given?
It must be. It must be, but I still hate it because it doesn't put you. You can say in the calm of February, we're going to hire you a couple of years. We're going to take some chances. It's going to be great fun. But when you start to lose games and when it's clear that the plan that has been started doesn't work, it takes a toll. And it sends a message. And again, I'll go back to what I said at the top of the show. I think Kevin OConnell is being set up to fail because there is no way establish his program, which I think is incredibly important, which, by the way, should not be to pick. He is being given, he has gone into his KOC fridge, opened it up, and there are the Zim leftovers from last night. And they're like, we want you, Top Chef KOC, we want you to create a great meal.
I think he looks at Cousins as a big piece to that meal, though. I think he looks at Cousins.
But that's the problem is, but then if that's the way that he perceives it, and we can debate that, but if that's true, he still has a bunch of things that he shouldn't have to deal with, and that is we're going to bring everybody else back. Like it's Mike and Rick's team.
It's funny. I think Kevin OConnell looks at this from a coaching standpoint and says, "This is awesome. I get to work with an established quarterback that I've already worked with before. I get Adam Thielen. I get Harrison Smith." I think from a coaching perspective, this is far better because you're going to win more games doing this than getting rid of all those guys. But from a big picture, front office, 5-year plan, win a Super Bowl perspective, it just feels like such a Hail Mary to do what they're doing. But go sign JC Tretter and then we can talk. Okay. That's my deal with this. Go sign JC Tretter, put an actual offensive line together that can help Kirk Cousins, and then we can have a conversation.
And say a prayer at cornerback.
Yeah. Well,
in fact, you know what?
Defense is overrated anyway.
Whole rosary. Forget a prayer. Say a rosary at cornerback.
You didn't have to say a prayer to lose weight. You just contacted the folks at Livia.
That's exactly right. I got breaking news, too, gentlemen. I got breaking news because I got a new offer from my friends at Livia Weight Control Centers. Get summer ready with the best offer of the year. Join today. Get 25% off the program. That's right, 25% off the program plus 35 meals for free. And choose your options. You can certainly go to the sites in town here. Or if you're not in town, guess what? Virtual, in-person options customized for you. That's exactly right. So if you choose to go and talk to the dietitians, that's fantastic. But if you say, you know what, I can't, then virtual visits. In fact, we've got people who have joined from California, Purple Daily from Utah, Texas, New York, livea.com, livia.com, 855-GO LIVEA, livia.com. Again, 25% off the program, plus 35 meals for free. That offer just started, so take advantage now and do what I did, which is drop about 40 pounds, lose the weight, livia.com.
Also, hey, Federated Mutual Insurance Company has been a great partner of ours here on both Purple Daily and Mackey and Judd. And if you're a business owner out there looking for some better frontline protection, you might not be able to sign JC Tretter to protect your business and avoid risk, but you can definitely sign Federated Mutual Insurance Company. They've been around for over 100 years, based in Owatonna, and you can find a full list of industries that they will protect at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours. Real quick here, boys. Let's do a little mock draft Monday.
I want a mock!
All right, I have one here for you from theringer.com. TheRinger.com. I don't think we've ever done one from The Ringer. They got a big draft, sort of big boards. They got team needs. And they have a mock draft from Danny Kelly over the weekend. He's got Aiden Hutchinson going to the Jaguars, #1 overall.
Okay.
And then he's got Kyle Hamilton, the safety from Notre Dame, going to the Lions at #2. He's got Iquanu, the tackle from North Carolina State, going to the Texans. Kayvon Thibodeau going to the Jets, edge rusher from Oregon at 4. Evan Neal, the Alabama tackle, to the Giants at 5. Let's see here. Charles Cross, Mississippi State tackle, going to the Panthers at 6. So Panthers still looking for quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Stingley Jr., the defensive back from LSU, going to the Giants at 7. Drake
that's high.
London, receiver, USC, 8 to the Falcons. Seahawks at 9 taking Malik Willis.
Interesting.
Treylon Burks, receiver from Arkansas, going to the Jets at 10. A little run on receivers here. Garrett Wilson from Ohio State going to Washington at 11, and that leaves the Vikings at 12. With edge rusher, Florida State, Jermaine Johnson II.
I want a mock.
The Eden Prairie kid.
Yes.
That's the second time he's been mocked here.
Local ties. No player has climbed draft boards more over the past few months than Johnson, who dominated the Senior Bowl and then wowed scouts at the Combine in Indianapolis. Johnson gives the Vikings a tough, physical, tone-setting pass rusher to pair with Danielle Hunter. Okay. I mean, they got to, that's makes some sense.
So again, the question now becomes, who's a cornerback then?
Bargain bin, baby. Rashad Breeland. Is he
Peterson
still
comes
available?
back.
Yeah, Pat P.
Oh, I'm sure Brashad's still out there, floating around just like last year.
I would take Patrick Peterson
Call me
back.
crazy.
It doesn't solve any long-term problems, but yeah.
And the nickel?
Yeah, I don't know.
Still the dog. Vinny the safety.
I hate to be such a killjoy in March, but man, I don't. No, I don't. I love it when I see flaws that I think I get and can be fixed. Oh. Roycey.
Royce's antsy.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yes.
All right, okay, Phil, bye.
That's a wrap on Purple Daily. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
12:01.
Fix this team. Amazing.